Okay, next thing here. No. Okay, so no, there's no grudge match between me and any. It's actually really cold in here. Between me and any kind of like political figures or other religions or whatever. That's no, you know, and uh, I'm not a political extremist on either side. Really, leave me out of that. Leave me out of all the letters and the acronyms and the agendas. Leave me out of it. All right. My politics are fairly simple, really. Um, I want to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America and the spirit of the law upon which it's founded, the Declaration of Independence. Um, the Bill of Rights are sacred to me. So I don't, I'm not going to just be like, like like I register with the Republicans, and usually I have conservative values, but I'm not going to like let them not be held accountable when they do the wrong thing. And I'm not going to vote for such and such candidate just because they're a certain party. I don't. It's not how I think. I try to analyze the actual situation, the actual legislation or whatever, and I try to do things that are going to perpetuate the prosperity and safety and the security of our nation and our society. But I'm not like, I don't like control freaks, like so um just leave me out of all the extremist stuff. Leave me out of it. I don't want to be in that. All right. Either side. All right. Am I with the Mormons anymore? Am I a Mormon? No. So like I'm not a hater of Joseph Smith or his wife Emma. And I'm not a hater of religions in general, really. I mean, I'm disappointed in things that people do to each other to prove that their religion is right or whatever. I don't believe in gunpoint conversion, like enforced conformity or gunpoint conversion. I believe those are perversions. I don't believe any trustworthy God would ever institute such a religion or a religious practice. But so if you think that I hate your religion or your country or your ethnicity or your whatever or you, it's extremely unlikely. Okay, probably not. I hate when people dehumanized me and my daughters, exploited me and my daughters, misrepresented me and my daughters. Hold on. Let me keep going with this here. I hate when, religionists, that's what I call them, because they really, they don't embody any kind of virtuous, godly principles. They just F people up in the name of their religion, right? So yeah, there's not. I don't have a grudge match or something like that. That being said, though, in my youth, political and religious zealots and the cult people, and we'll get to that later. They did a lot of meddling in my life, and their schemes were not conducive to a productive healthy life, and I never agreed to it. And they didn't ask me even. They just did it. So, so yes, I did find it necessary once. I mean, I had already lost everything. I'd lost my marriage, my children, my money, my career, I mean, I was living in my car, So yeah, I am. And there was I couldn't speak to these people directly because of their chains of command by which they separate themselves from their own dirty work. And I had no legal recourse. There was nobody who was in this particular area was willing to do the right thing. So I just called them out publicly. I mean, I tried getting away from these cult people and these political oppressors, between like 10 and 8 years ago, and something like that, 10 and 7 years ago. And then, and then between, 6 and 5 years ago, really started calling them out because I believe in holding people accountable. They did some really morally perverse, ruinous things to, in people that I love were suffered losses. And so, yeah, so I called them out. I just basically told them, look, regardless of your station in life, God created us with human dignity and gave us moral principles to live by. And when you use your position or your agenda to do inhumane things to your fellow beings, and it creates consequences. And I called these people to stop what they're doing, and make sure they had the information they needed so they can hold their underlings accountable and all that stuff. But this wasn't something I ever wanted. I just wanted to have a family and a band. I mean, my desires were pretty simple, going all the way back to when I was 17 years old. Wanted to make music, have a career, have a nice lady, provide, and then eventually settle down and have a little farm, minister to people. And it was pretty simple. My desire was never really that complicated, and other people's agendas, very, very maliciously and deceptively interfered with good things. They ruined good things. So anyway, so yeah, so I don't affiliate with the Mormons anymore. I'm not a hater. I did for a while still like mingle with them, go to church sometimes. I've been to lots of churches out here in North Carolina where I'm stuck right now. And but I haven't really found church communities to be, a productive path, and I haven't found them to be, entirely trustworthy, and I don't really believe that they love me. I know the scriptures and history and culture of the Mormons very well, and I can testify like under oath, before God in heaven. I mean, those people violated their covenants and their laws. Their actions towards me and my daughters were wrong on many levels, and they participated in some really terrible things. So, I don't want to be part of a religious institution that takes away somebody's, human dignity and the sanctity of their home and their livelihood and their money and their reputation and their freedom and their relationships and whoa, nope, no. So, well, I still believe in a loving creator. I do. And I do believe that, came to be our savior and redeemer, and all that. But I don't need to affiliate myself with people who desecrate the name of God by weaponizing their institutions or their cultures, or polluting their cultures with stuff that's not, it's not, like Jesus in the New Testament, he called out the religious leaders of their day for teaching the precepts of men as if they were commandments of God. Right? So, I don't want to be involved in that kind of stuff. I believe, the sermon I want is to live a life of love and faith and to, you know, and integrity, and I want to know God. I want to please God. I don't want to, you people are not God. You're not God. And I'm not going to worship you. And I'm not going to grovel to you. And, everybody will face a day of reckoning. So you would be wise to make your confessions and amends now. So you did really terrible things. And I am, and I'm not going to name people right now, but, political zealots and religionists. Let's just leave it at that. All right. So let's see. I can't even read. What does this say? Blah, 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 blah. Okay. I think that's good for this section. I think we've covered that well enough.